So the last intermediate skill that I want to teach you is it's called grounding, and so most of you've probably heard that before. But the real purpose of grounding you may not be aware of. What its purpose is to teach your client self-rescue from an abreaction. And what's an abreaction? An abreaction is when a person has an emotional catharsis that is so intense that the person is reliving the flashback. They are taking their sensory cues no longer from the environment, but they are reliving the trauma in real time here, that they are completely dissociated from the empirical world and they're fully absorbed in the trauma memory. And the first time that happens to you as a clinician, it's pretty scary. The 100th time it happens, it's a whole lot less scary. And I want to show you a really nice technique for if that ever, I used to, when I was a more anxious trauma therapist, I used to teach all of my clients this as part of early treatment. As I've evolved in my skills, I don't teach this to all of my clients anymore. I teach them self-regulation and coach them for that. But I keep this is always there. So anytime that I'm in early treatment that my client has an abreaction, I teach them the skill to be able to use on their own and at home. And it's something that we can use in session 2. And it's a really nice tool to help your client get out of that stuck place of when they're having flashbacks, especially also after a nightmare, waking up after a nightmare that's so intense that they can't get back here. This is a cool way to do it. And one of the ways that almost always abreactions are telegraphed, there's a set of behaviors that you see from your client that telegraphs and they're progressive, and almost always it starts with psychomotor agitation. That you'll see your client's leg pistoning, you'll see them rocking in their chair, you'll see them wringing their hands, twirling their hair, that there's this agitation like this. And I don't know if the camera picks this up or not, but my leg is bouncing right now. What is that? You see your clients do that a lot, right? You know what that is? That's a leak. When your client's leg is bouncing, they have sprung a leak. There's so much energy in their body that they can't contain it anymore, and it's leaking out. It is an indication that they are over on the right-hand side of Yerkes-Dodson. Their autonomic nervous system is dysregulated. So what I do is I start in early treatment going, tell me about that leg. And they stop immediately. As soon as I draw attention to it, it stops. And I say, oh, you did a really nice job of stopping that psychomotor agitation by constriction and brute force. Now, let's pay attention to your body. Let's notice what's happening inside of there. Yeah, soften those. Excellent. Continue. So, and if I do that 2 or 3 times by the 3rd or 4th session, then what happens a lot is the leg will start going and I just look at it and they'll go. And sometimes they'll flip me off playfully. And that's what I'm doing is I'm calling attention to this. I'm helping them and playfully, but anytime I see psychomotor agitation, I'm stopping what I'm doing so that they can see it and they're becoming aware of it. So this is a way to preempt an abreaction, is to start to recognize when that's happening and say, teach me about what's going on in your body. What are you thinking about? What's happening? What's the perceived threat right now? And to be able to talk about that. That's what I mean by, in this process of treatment, we're not just teaching the skill of self-regulation and then forgetting about it. Is that what's happening is I'm going parallel all the way through treatment. You're talking about your mom right now. What's going on in your body? You're talking about that experience back in high school. What's going on in your body? You're thinking about that rape right now. What's happening in your body? Yeah, let's soften. Excellent. Continue. Sorry to interrupt. And I'm doing that over and over and over throughout treatment. It's a parallel track that is teaching my clients interoception and self-regulation in real time. So that's a way to preempt an abreaction, but a lot of times it happens so fast that you don't see it. The leg will start going, there's rocking, and then what you'll see is posture will fetalize. They'll lean over like this, and almost always their eyes will fixate downward. Very rarely it'll be upright, but almost always it's downward. And you'll see this happening. And then you know a lot of times the eyes will get big and they'll be doing this and they're gone. And the first time it happens to you as a clinician, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? I broke my client. I mean, the first time I thought that's what happened. And then, you know, the 100th time it happens, it's like, oh yeah, this is the landscape. So I found a really nice way to do this, and it starts with Sully, as I talked about earlier. The first thing I got to do is manage me. Not jumping into my clients to manage my anxiety. I'm going to be afraid when I see my clients doing that. It produces a fear response. And I don't want to start jumping in on them trying to get them right so that I can relax. Because they're intuiting that. And if they hear the anxious voice tones and they perceive you being afraid, then they're going to go further into it because out here's danger. Now, none of that is cognitive. That's all intuitive, but that's being processed on some level by their mirror neurons. So the very first thing I got to do is take 1 or 2 seconds to just get my body relaxed. And then when they're in that state, what I do is this process. I ask this question. I have this written out. It's also a link, and it'll walk you through it. A little bit more involved than what's up on the screen. I lean over a little bit and I say, what are you seeing right now? And they always report what they're seeing in the memory, in the experience. He's coming after me. He's coming after me. Or I see the flames, they're burning. You know, they'll say something like that. And to which I say, continuing to stay in a relaxed muscle body, I say, and Jennifer, what organs do you see with? And a lot of times you'll see them go, what? it kind of interrupts them. And or they'll go, my eyes? And I'll say, yes, would you use your eyes and tell me what you see right now? I see him coming after me. No, you are seeing with your brain right now. Would you please use your eyes and tell me what you can see here in this room? And the client will go, in this room? Yeah, in this room. And make it above eye level. I see the ceiling tile, I see the sprinkler, and I see the thermostat. Excellent. Would you name for me 3 things that you can hear right now? I can hear the chair squeak, I can hear the humming of the air conditioning, and I can hear your voice. Nice. And then what I do is I pick up 3 things from my periphery and I say, and I hand it to my client, I say, would you describe the texture of that bottle? It's kind of squishy, but also rigid. Excellent. And how's the texture of this magic marker different than the texture of that bottle? It's more rigid, it's smaller. Excellent. And how's the texture of this envelope different than the texture of those 2 things? It's crinkly and it's thinner. Nice. Now, would you name 2 new things you can see? The screen, the computer. Excellent. 2 new things you can hear. They can be the same things, just hear them here in this moment. And a lot of the times what I've got to do is I've got to help my client, I got to lean in the chair, I've got to scratch my leg or do something that makes a little bit audible because it's pretty quiet in my office. And they'll say, oh, I hear you, or I hear the hum. the same thing, and I say, excellent. Now, would you reach out and touch two textures and describe those textures? First time, because I'm helping my client out and I'm wanting to build a relational bridge, I'm handing them the three things, and then I want them to now activate self-efficacy, so I have them reach out and touch and describe two things. And then I say, one new thing you can see, have them tell me that. One new thing you can hear, can be the same thing, just hear it in this moment. And reach out and touch one new texture. Now, after 90 seconds of that, 60 to 90 seconds, what's the difference in your client? They are fully here and present. And that you can now do a relaxation strategy. You can now do progressive muscle relaxation or diaphragmatic breathing or any of those other relaxation strategies that your client uses. And that's a nice tool to help them to do that. It is the way that we are connected to our environment, to the here and now, is through our senses. Dissociation loses those senses. So as you help your client assimilate and associate to their sensory experience, it puts them in the here and now. So it's a really cool way of doing that. Now, what's also a really powerful tool is olfactory. But I don't use that in my office because I don't know my client's learning history fully. And I may think lilacs are, essence of lilac is a really comforting smell, but they may have been beaten with lilac switches and I may be triggering them. But what I do invite my clients to do is to go to the aromatherapy store and pick one or two scents, smell a bunch of them, and find one that really feels good when you smell it. And what's a nice thing to do is to put a few drops of that essential oil on a cotton ball and put the cotton ball in a Ziploc bag and put that on your nightstand or in your nightstand drawer. And if you wake up during the night and you have flashbacks or nightmares during the night, then don't cogitate on that. Just reach over and grab that bag and take some breaths of smelling that, and let that just calm you, and then go ahead on back to sleep. And that's I've found that to be a really nice tool for helping my clients that have mid-sleep awakening from intrusive symptoms of past trauma. So there's a bunch of skills for you to take with you and to be able to apply immediately. I've got more coming for different phases of treatment, but these are a really nice battery, well-rounded battery. You've got some relaxation skills, you've got some containment skills, you've got some grounding skills. That all of those are pretty nice rounded package for once a client develops some competency in these, you're pretty much ready to move forward if you're going to be doing trauma memory processing.